weeks before move-in, I'm actually down in Bloomington already. I had this trip planned in advance, so I just kept my train ticket. I didn't get any video on the way down, but the excitement was that just outside Chenoa, we went into emergency because the Amfleet Cafe car in the rear had a brake hose come apart. Thankfully, it wasn't a long delay, they got it back together, and we moved on. The following day, Friday, I was going to try and get LSF 54, but it toned out for a signal north around 8 a.m., and that wasn't happening. On Facebook about an hour later, I see that there's a northbound stack near Springfield, and if the schedules are how they used to be, that should be ILB G4, which only recently returned to this routing. There's also southbound IG4 SIB that usually comes through midday-ish, around the same time Amtrak 22 does. So, about 10 a.m., we'll head over to Uptown and see what we can get. I arrive about 10:15 and all signals in both directions are dark. From what I can tell, that northbound is somewhere around Atlanta or McLean. The northbound Texas Eagle is meeting 301 down in Springfield, so that'll be here in a while too. About 10:25 we get lights, but reds in both directions, so I have no idea what's going to happen here. It would help if I could see the northbound signal at X124, but I can't. Also, where I'm standing, I can't see X123. That would also be nice. I take a calculated risk and assume the northbound will be staying on the main. I patiently wait for any signs of life, and at 10:49 we finally get some semblance of what's going on.
Dispatcher 28 UP5948 North, over. I can't remember if you got anything blocked there at McLean or not, but I need to send a southbounder at you there. He's at Bloomington now. I'll wait for Amtrak, over. Thank you. Get around you, appreciate it.
And there's that southbound waiting north of X123. You can't see it, but there's an approach on the siding for 22 once it gets here. I'm not sure if X121 just isn't lined yet or if that southbound isn't clear of the plant. 22 is a 100 mile per hour train and should be here quick. And once that southbound gets out of here, I figure about 40 minutes, maybe a little more for the northbound to make it here.
To the Virgin approach. Virgin Advance approach, 124. Virgin Advance approach, 124.
Once again, northbound train 22, the Texas Eagle. All aboard.
Virgin Advance approach, 124.
Dispatcher 28 UP6149 South, over. Track just cleared there at X124. I'll be ready for you here just as that switch locks up, over. Copy that. Yeah.
22 station complete. Okay to depart. To approach 123. 123.
They aren't here very long, and I have just enough time to cross over, thankfully. Barely enough time. I thought I would have had more. I would have liked to get up on the platform, but again, ran out of time. As I guessed, it's IG4 SIB, a pretty consistent late morning catch here. After that southbound clears, I park my Fanny and wait for 124 to light up again, heralding the approach of that northbound. 319 is supposed to be here at noon, but that's not happening. It's over an hour late out of Joliet. Apparently, according to a station announcement, it was delayed originally by a freight, I'm sure at either Brighton or Lemoyne, and then there was a semi stuck on the tracks that had to wait for a tow truck. Meanwhile, I just sit and wait. It's a fairly nice day, even though maybe 100 miles north it's snowing. About 11:58, X-124 lights up, and wow, that was actually a really good guess as far as the timing. Yeah, I know it probably won't actually be here for 10 to 15 more minutes, but shh. And in about 10 minutes, we get this northbound ILB-G4. Notice the leader is in the new UP paint scheme. ILB-G4 is a port stack train originating in Long Beach. This train will always have a special place in my heart, as it was the first road train I caught here in Bloomington. As I mentioned, this train actually left this routing for a while, running via Council Bluffs and Rochelle on the Overland route. It only returned to running via St. Louis a few months ago. There are currently 3 northbound stack trains on this line, and it's fairly easy to tell the difference between them. ITU G4 from Tucson has both international 40-foot and domestic 53-foot containers. ILB G4 is entirely 40-foot international containers, and ZMQ G4 carries domestic containers and trailers and almost always has UPS trailers on it. Supposedly UPS isn't happy with BNSF, and there has been some switching of shipping lanes away from them to UP. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to the Mesquite Z train, if anything. As ILB G4 clears, I decide to not wait the hour or so for the delayed 319, although this comes across the radio as I'm walking back to the car.
Dispatcher 3B 5948 North, over.
Man, over.
Thought maybe I can get you up to Pontiac, but this southbound Amtrak is just flying. Let me do something different there, South Ballard X109. Can I have the engineer's permission to take that down and reroute you for the sighting when you get stopped? Let me know, over.
Yes, sir. I understand you take the south end of Ballard, get 109 back. You have permission from the engineer. We'll let you know when we get stopped, over.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Here we go.
However, fast forward to April, and there's one more thing I want to catch before I call this a video. There just isn't too much in the way of freight on the old Alton route north of Springfield. There's ZMQ-G4 and ZG4MQ, there's IG4SIB and ITU-G4, and ILB-G4 and the newly restarted IG4LB. You've also got the Monday through Saturday local LSF-54. But what does that local actually serve? Obviously it runs out and collects cars, but what happens to those cars? The answer is the other main pair of trains on the Springfield sub, MBN-AS and MAS-BN. This pair acts as somewhat of a shuttle between Bloomington Yard and the Alton & Southern's Gateway Yard in East St. Louis. It'll leave one mid-afternoon or early evening, arrive overnight, then run back the next day. It's a pretty typical manifest, usually not very long, but what makes it interesting is what usually leads it. But before we get into that, it should be noted that the Alton & Southern is a wholly owned subsidiary of Union Pacific, although it is operated separately. It was owned by Missouri Pacific and the Chicago and Northwestern, then Missouri Pacific and Cotton Belt after 1972. UP bought Missouri Pacific in 1982 and took over their shares, and gained full control in 1996 when UP merged with Cotton Belt parent company Southern Pacific. There have been rumblings that the ANS will be absorbed into UP, but as of now that hasn't happened. Anyway, MBN-AS and MAS-BN are a little bit different. While Bloomington once was the main maintenance facility for the Alton, the once sprawling Bloomington Yard has contracted significantly, and the engine facility is only a memory. This means power needs to be handled out of East St. Louis. This means that more often than not, this train runs in both directions with Alton & Southern SD62 power. If MAS-BN gets in early enough, then the return BN-AS is a 2 p.m. on-duty time on Saturday, but it did not this weekend, so it's a normal 5 p.m. call. As I arrive at my parking place, I see the gates are down for northbound Amtrak 318. I don't have time to get a great vantage point, so here's what I got from the pavilion. I'm located right next to the 133.7 intermediate signal and 133.8 defect detector. 133.7 southbound is a clear. There's about to be a traffic jam. Down by Springfield are 2 northbound stack trains. 305 is coming up to Joliet. 306 has left St. Louis. There's about to be a lot of train and not a lot of space. But MBN-AS is about to start its journey south, and the dispatcher runs it south to hold the main at McLean. With light fading, Alton & Southern 2205 leads 68 cars south. I won't get into a long outro like I did in the actual announcement part of this video, but I will say thank you for following me along the way and hope you'll stick around in the future. While my location may have changed, I still like doing this, and I'm still going to try and keep making things for you all. You can follow me on Instagram, and you know all that. Until next time, I'm Tyler, and this has been the Northeastern Illinois Railfan YouTube channel.